Yeah, I want to be like, you know what?
Are you streaming live?
Yeah, I am right now. Say hi, Mike Winston.
Like 5 days.
What's up?
Yeah, so
Where you
Roy
staying?
Ranch, we're getting ready. We're getting ready for the show.
it's a resort. It's like one of
What
those
up, y'all?
all-inclusive
We got the Abdullah brothers in the house right now. Not live yet, but we're on our way. Keep listening. Keep checking us out. Vita Girl is closing us out.
Do you guys have something to drink?
Say hi.
Yes, I brought a couple of things.
Uh-oh. Can we legally smoke in here now? I'm just kidding. It's legal, right? Can we? What's
They
the?
have these signs around campus that say like legal doesn't mean legal.
Yeah, maybe legal doesn't mean you can smoke.
It doesn't come out the refrigerator. I took 2 bottles of water.
You want me to? Oh, I got some in the car.
You have some in the
Yeah,
car?
I'll go
Okay,
get
cool.
some.
She'll bring us some.
You get ready. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't bring my claw today. I'm just kind of all
Your thing works really well all the time. By the way,
Does the vending machine take a credit card?
is there a vending machine?
It is one on the second floor.
Oh, is it? Well, I've never seen that.
I saw something today.
We'll get you something before we get started. Why don't you mix out of them? Out of her.
This is the book you put together. Or you were
10 minutes of I use Michael Winston.
10 minutes?
Yeah. 10, just to get us warmed up. And then we'll switch over. And then you'll come back in at the end. How about that?
You gonna play with me tonight?
Huh?
You gonna play with me?
I don't know if I can. I gotta go home. That's what I tell Lamona. I was like, I would love to, but
Okay, so for tomorrow.
I gotta get some sleep.
That's it?
Yeah, I need you somewhere, Lauren.
I'll be around. I'm gonna get you a chair. But you can stand
So, because I want you to talk about your shirt.
Okay, so get there at 9.
I was with my AKA boss, ex-boss all day, taking pictures of her and her gear and.
Take a drink. Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to get some water. You can definitely do maybe not this
I'm good.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Power drink.
mixer. You just plug controller into one channel on your phone, and then we can hear each other on music.
Water or something?
Making sure. Yeah, I just
We're gonna run upstairs to the vending machine now.
I'm gonna do like a little station identification. Do you want to say goodbye to your fans?
We're
You
good.
already did that? Okay.
They know me. I'll be back.
Good evening, everybody. You're listening to the wonderful sounds of Vita Girl. She does the best hour of the week. I was jamming all the way over here in my little car. So this is Lori Branch, and you're going to be transitioning to the Vintage House Show. We've got a really, really special show. This is WNUR 89.3 Evanston, Chicago, HD1. If you want to check out Vintage House live, you can check it out on our Facebook page. Just like us on Vintage House Chicago. You can also check us out on WNUR.org if you want to hear us up close and personal. But you've been listening to Sounds of Vita Girl every Wednesday, 9 to 10 p.m. Vita Girl, where can they catch you?
Tomorrow night, the Whistler. At
What's
the
name of
Whistler.
it? The Whistler
In Logan
on
Square.
in Logan
$3.99.
Square, just in case.
Or on Instagram. Vita Girl.
On Instagram, VITIGRRL,
That's it.
like girl.
He You got it.
All right, so we're going to be transitioning a little bit to the Vintage House Show. Our guests tonight, we have two really interesting guys. They are brothers. Their names are Kevin and Craig Abdullah. And Kevin and Craig, as two really young men, they kind of epitomized this bridge between what we understand as the underground gay house music scene to the very youthful early house music scene that was not gay, that was really more sort of high schoolish. But they were kids in that era, and they can talk about sort of that bridge from something that was very sort of old school male to becoming something that became known as the Chicago house music scene, with teenagers leading the way back in the 80s. And so they have some great stories about many of their contributions, the least of which, I don't know if you knew this, Lauren, but they worked at the power plant.
You know, I
Did you know that?
I did know that. That's what I
Is
wanted.
That's why they were here.
Right, exactly. But it's
Okay.
really about them too. I
See,
mean,
we-
we're interested in their sort of power plant story, but we're also
Yes.
interested in sort of how do you get to be kicking it at the power plant with Mike Winston and Frankie Knuckles? I
Well,
mean,
they got a backstory to that. And
I'd
so
love to hear
speaking of
that.
Mike Winston,
speaking of
iconic, he is live with us here in the studio tonight.
Yes.
Mike Winston of the power plant, and of so many things. So
Yeah.
he's going to kick it off for us whenever you're ready, Mike. We're going to hear a few tunes,
Uh-oh.
and then we're going to get to our interview with the brothers. They've got a really interesting story, so I hope you will stay tuned for the Hour Vintage House Show with your hosts, Lori Branch, Lauren Lowry.
What up, y'all? Happy King Day and Happy Founders Day
Happy
to the women
Founders
of
Day.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Hey now.
112.
112 years
We
old.
look good.
You guys look great.
112.
That's right.
We got our brother here, Mike Winston. It's a treat to have him on the show for
Is
some
he
reason. He's part of
858?
our Alpha family. So
Oh,
we're so
my
proud to have
goodness.
him here to celebrate our Founders Day, but he doesn't have on any pink and green. I'm not
Uh-oh.
scared by that.
Well, I'm not wearing any pink and green
I would have come
either,
prepared.
but I like pink and I like green. It is post-Christmas colors.
Right.
All right, so stay tuned for the brothers Abdullah, and in the meantime, enjoy sounds of Mike Winston.
I've never been upstairs. I've never seen us.
Oh, yeah, there's a pop machine up there.
Oh, it's just pop? Is it food?
No, it's water. Just, you know,
Oh, it's just water.
yeah.
So, you know, I can't hear anything. You gotta make sure they try to talk into this mic.
Huh?
You gotta make sure they try to talk into the mic so we don't have to do something when we try to podcast it. Sometimes it's up and down.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's
Okay.
hard. Because they're gonna want to talk to you this way, you know, but they can talk to you and sort of move it around.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mike Winston on the dance. What up? To be free.
trim this up a little bit?
Are you good with that, or you want to use this? Right. Do you want to use this, or are you okay with that? Do you want to use this, or are you okay with that? Okay. You're welcome to. I'm gonna put mine right there, and then you can put yours right there. I like this angle better. Well, it just depends. We'll see. Here you go.
Lauren, did you pledge here?
I did.
How many were in your
19.
really?
Yes. I was number 8 of 19. One of the bigger lines.
Are you legacy?
No.
Wasn't it?
Completely against it.
Why? Did you think
Alabama, she was, you know, she was first generation college, got the kids to Alabama State. And the women who were pledging back then, they either had dough or, you know, she thought it was frivolous. You know what I'm saying? It was not worthy, not worthwhile. So, but, you know, she didn't know that.
I get it.
Because the network had to take different types of things.
Did she think that it would take away from your studies also?
I think she did. I didn't know. My mom was a rap, sadly,
I'm sure her ideas were for the betterment of you.
I get her. I understand it. It could be frivolous, you know, but I'm cool with that.
You just have to prove to her later once you're in it.
Exactly. This is different. It's not just about
Playing
about
drink.
party, you know. You can't tell Alabama that. Alabama's like, I don't want to farm. You can go in there doing a party.
You need to focus on school and not partying.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
All right.
So are you telling your Facebook family that
Hi, everybody.
the Bahamas?
Facebook family, we're back. Mike Winston is on the deck. Lauren Lowry
Mike,
is over
turn
in
around
the
and wave.
corner.
What up?
Come say hello over here, Lauren.
What up, y'all?
It's Founders Day. For those who are wondering why everybody's wearing pink and green except me. Happy Founders Day to all the AKAs out there. You got anything you want to say to the people?
112 years of any organization is pivotal. A black organization to survive 112 years in the state of America is very serious. So just proud of all of us for persevering and enduring hardships and supporting each other.
That's right.
Sisterhood is everything.
That's right.
Unity among black people is critical
right.
across the board.
All right. Happy Founders Day. Happy birthday, Martin Luther King.
Dr. King, that's what's up, y'all.
There's a lot going on today. We're celebrating. We are celebrating. Hi, everybody. Sorry, you getting the breast version. Hey, Lee. All right. You got Michael.
That's the part everyone wants to see. Anyway, like, what's the angle that's gonna get us?
What's up, Tammy Delane? Thanks for watching. We got Kevin Abdullah and Craig Abdullah in the house. Woo! You like my dolly, guys? Woo-hoo. All right. These dudes.
You gotta maneuver both. You gotta get that one in there.
I know. We all good. All right, so we're going to listen to Mike for a couple minutes, and then we're going to get to our interview. What's up, Daryl? Alan remembers you guys. Alan Heath.
When you get through, get a chair, sit over here.
All right. What's up? What's up? What's up? There's
Whenever you're ready.
we can have a talk to our friends. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Can we give a hand clap to Mike Winston?
We gotta get his calendar
Yes.
on the floor too. He seems to be
Okay.
spinning everywhere in Chicago these days. I'm like,
Come on, Mike, grab a seat.
All right, so
Get in.
you were listening to the sounds of Mike Winston. If you're just tuning in, this is WNUR 89.3, Evanston, Chicago, HD1. This is the Vintage House Show, and I have to tell you, remind you, that this is the only on-air radio show and podcast in Chicago that is dedicated to illuminating and preserving the lives, music, and careers of house music legends and contributors such as Mike Winston. We're powered by the Modern Dance Music Research and Archiving Foundation, which is the only repository in the United States dedicated solely to the study, preservation, and celebration of house and dance music genres. We want to preserve your memories and your memorabilia. So if you have some of that stuff, I know you got memories, you might have some memorabilia, especially like old flyers. Believe it or not, people really like to see old flyers. I've
Absolutely.
seen some of those books. We might have to put one together ourselves.
Yeah, that'd be a
exactly.
good
You know,
idea.
Exactly.
So if you got some of that stuff and you want to contribute and help to make our repository what it should be, then let us know. Reach out to us. If you want to be on the show, if you want to hang out with us, reach out to us. Before we get started with our really special guest tonight, I do want to acknowledge an amazing lineup that's happening for this spring. Happy New Year if this is your first time this year. Next week, who's going to be here as a mega show?
I forget who's on Mega Show.
Actually, I might be back next
I think
week.
it's Steve Maestro. I think he's got
Steve Miggity Maestro is
on.
coming back. He's been on a couple times.
Right.
We've got some really great local, national, international promoters. Now, Lauren hasn't heard this yet.
Uh-oh.
She hasn't heard this yet.
Oh my goodness.
You know who's going to be joining us this spring?
Is
Are you ready?
who's coming?
Are you ready? Drum roll. Drum roll. Who's joining us? Honey Dijon.
Honey Dijon, international.
International.
House music diva.
She said she'll be here in April, and she's going to join us for our show.
I'm excited.
So we're going to have some international flavor. Not that we haven't had international flavor before. Speaking of international, Corky's going to be here. Traxman.
Oh, awesome.
He's coming back, and he's bringing some of the younger crew. He's like, I got to bring some of my young Trax people.
Thank you.
So we're looking forward to that. We're going to have from Jeffrey Pub, John Goings. I don't know if you know John. He's a really good DJ. You know John.
I do.
He's a really good
I
DJ.
wanted the owner to come.
Melvin Gentry.
How long has he been
Melvin
playing?
has not been on the show. He said he would be there.
Forever.
So anyway,
I don't know him.
lots of good things happening. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to tonight's guest. So we have two brothers in the house, Kevin and Craig Abdullah. Many of you know them as young men.
Microphone.
Not as much anymore, but
So we're going to ask y'all to speak into mic because we actually are doing a podcast, and so we'll tell you a little bit more about the podcast later. But first, let's get to our guests, Kevin and Craig Abdullah. I'd like to say that this is my frame of reference, that the two of you kind of represent this really unique bridge from these different cultures that were out there. Like, you were brave, you were sort of courageous to go places where most straight men were not going to go. Okay? So I know we touched on that the last time you were here.
right.
But if it weren't for guys like you who were brave enough to kind of make that connection, like there was just something special going on in places where a lot of young people weren't and a lot of straight men definitely weren't, and to sort of bridge that into the youth parties that we were also familiar with that sort of launched house music, we wouldn't have had it.
That's
So
true.
I think you play an important role. In addition to that, you worked in a couple of really iconic places, at least one that I'm aware of.
Sure. I like this. I first like to say that
Yes.
that we weren't there were actually other pioneers. There are other guys that were there before us. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. That me and Craig came during the latter part, but there had already been guys and girls actually that came out to the parties.
So I want to talk about that, but before we get into all of that, let's get to know you a little better. You are brothers.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
This is true.
Who's oldest and who's youngest?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am 57.
Oh, look at you.
I'll be 50. No, you'll be 58.
I'll be 58 in May, correct.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'll be 57.
I love that you guys
No,
aren't
56.
afraid. Okay. Getting up there. See, well, listen. I think it's beautiful. You both look amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about like I want to know where you guys came from. So you two brothers, Kevin and Craig Abdullah.
Yes.
You grew up in where? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I was born in 1964 in New York City, in the Bronx.
Okay.
And 64 to 75.
Right.
That's when we moved to Chicago.
Okay.
And I think it was a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be like if I was still in New York
Were
City.
you 3 years old thinking this was a good idea?
Yeah. Well, no. When we moved here, I was 11.
We were in
Oh, okay.
yeah, we were probably.
You were so in '75 you moved here.
Right.
Okay.
And it was
Why did you guys move?
My mother got tired of New York City.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bronx?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm
I think it was a good
familiar.
idea.
We didn't think we weren't tired of it.
Yeah.
We were.
Do you have a lot of memories of growing up in the Bronx?
Sure.
Yeah. But there's
Really?
children, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that was cut off at 11.
Wow.
But Chicago's a good place to be.
Where did
so.
you guys end up when you moved to Chicago?
Oh, wow. Originally, Wicker Park.
Wicker Park.
Yeah, we lived in Lemoyne and Damon.
Okay.
Went to Wicker Park for maybe half a year.
Yeah.
Then we moved to the south side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now Wicker Park, that was probably pre-gentrification
Oh,
Wicker
God,
Park,
yes.
where it was still cool.
Yeah.
Not that Wicker Park is not cool now. I'm sure Wicker Park
Oh,
is
of course
great.
not. No.
What's up, Donna? So then you were on the south side. Where on the south side?
71st and Oglesby. 70,
Okay.
Ridgeland.
What's the name of that area?
I don't know what they call that. Is that
Is that South Shore?
Yeah.
That's South Shore.
And so we went to Bryn Mawr Elementary.
Okay.
Then South Shore High School.
Uh-huh.
And from there, came back
We
up
moved
north.
over on Ridgeland. We was in Beverly for a little while
yeah.
also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we kind of bounced around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
then,
yeah.
And then Northside was calling her name.
So, but growing up, you went to South Shore. You went to elementary school. You went to South Shore High School.
Yes.
Did both of you go to that high
Correct,
school?
yeah,
We both graduated.
How was that going to school together as brothers?
He was doing this thing and I was doing my own.
Were you
He was
really?
active in the sports.
Okay.
I wasn't. I was
Uh-huh.
doing girls and academics.
Girls and academics.
yeah.
Well, that's okay. You
Yeah,
can do
it
girls and
works
you
for
can do
me.
girls in sports too.
Yeah.
So you're at South Shore,
Mm-hmm.
then you ended up, I want to talk a little bit about South Shore because, that's an area that we don't talk a whole lot about, but a lot of people came out of South Shore who were part of the house music community. Did you meet other folks who were, like, I want to get to your introduction, to the parties and to the scene that became known as house music. But who were your influences? What were you listening to? What was going on in your neighborhood?
Well, back at that time, I had no idea. Around in high school, I don't really know how we got introduced to it or
I
who
think
introduced.
maybe Dave Harrison. Remember he was doing the parties at CBS.
Possibly.
And,
Okay.
Yeah, and then we would help him take speakers up and to get in the party.
Oh, Dave
so
Harrison.
that-
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a pre-introduction
Give
to
Dave
it.
Harrison
Okay.
some love. Yeah, thank you,
Dave Harrison. Yeah. Yes.
So Dave Harrison was setting up the parties?
No, he was actually DJing.
He was the
parties
DJ in
at
parties.
CBS, yeah.
Where-
We were
Okay.
doing the setting up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get
Listen,
in the parties.
You have to pay the price of admission somehow. You got to
Exactly.
carry some
Carrying
records,
records. Yes.
carry
Yes.
some
yes.
speakers, help set up. No, I get that. So were they doing house music parties at South Shore, or was it just kind of like
I
sock
don't
hop?
think we.
popular
Yeah, they were just doing
music?
sock hops, but I think like Mendel High School was doing house music
Yeah.
parties, and then CBS,
Right.
Dave was introducing house music to these kids there.
Now,
So,
now, if my memory serves me right, and you're 57 and you're 56, 55, you would have been, and you were at the warehouse. You would have been going there as an underage kid.
Correct. Now what?
No, I graduated high school.
Yeah.
'82, and
What-
that was right.
When did we go to the
closed.
warehouse? When do you?
Yeah.
How old do you think we were?
I was
Well,
heavy
If you're
18.
listening, the warehouse is kind of like ground zero.
Yes, it truly
we
is. Yeah.
we kind of start like, where did you discover the warehouse if you're part of the Vintage House Show? So
Yeah.
the warehouse was on 206 South Jefferson. It was an iconic club. Our version of Studio 54, but from
Yes.
which many things bloomed.
Yeah.
Mike Winston, who's our guest DJ, was it a DJ at the warehouse? No,
He was a
he
resident.
was a resident,
Resident.
Not at the warehouse.
not at the
Not the
warehouse.
warehouse.
No, at the power plant. That's right.
You
yeah.
was there a lot.
Yeah.
I was there a lot.
Hey, Mike's got a
Frankie
quick
Knuckles there.
Dave Harrison story.
Mike's got a quick. Mike has a Dave
Uh,
Harrison
yeah,
story.
because when you guys mentioned Dave Harrison, I told Lauren, she made me come over here and get on the mic because I made the statement. I said, well, Dave Harrison's equipment wasn't no joke.
No, yes.
And the reason that I know that is that after the power plant closed, we moved to a club called COD. And Dave provided the sound in COD.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it was his sound in COD.
Wow.
And COD became a pretty legendary house music club also. So
I remember
just that.
COD. Where was that?
On Devon.
Devon,
Yeah.
on Devon,
What
right
line
off
is
of
he on?
right off
Four.
of Broadway.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, it didn't go to 4. Curse.
Okay, now we can hear you, Mike. Try it again.
Oh,
Wait
you
a
didn't
minute.
hear me
Hold on,
before.
hold on. Let me see.
Hold on, take.
Why is 4 locked? It's not.
All right, we can't quite
Okay,
hear you,
hold
but
on.
I think
Damn.
we got the
It's
gist
full
of it.
lock.
We'll
Okay.
figure it out. We're having a little technical issues.
Okay.
We can hear you guys just fine. Though.
Okay.
So, all right. So let's talk about your entry to the warehouse because I think that is where the story gets interesting. Although I'm sure South Shore was interesting in and of
Oh,
itself.
sure.
I love South Shore. When I was a kid, I found it was kind of like a wonderland to me. Like,
Yeah.
there was
'Cause
so
there was
much
the new
going
buildings and
on.
the old building.
Yeah, it was a really neat neighborhood right
Yeah.
on the lake. And I grew up in,
Sorry.
Washington Heights, Morgan Park area. And so
Okay.
we were kind of landlocked over there.
Right.
And I discovered like these huge apartments. I'm like, boy, these people living like kings over here with lake views and the winding Lakeshore Drive.
Uh-huh.
What's that neighborhood like now?
Oh, God. I don't even know.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
that bad unless you get around 79th Street.
Okay.
But I think it's single family homes.
Yes.
I think it
What's
may
that?
maybe not be as stable as it was back then, but I still think it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
That's cool. So tell me about your first warehouse experience.
I was dating a young lady back in '82, and her and a group of friends decided to go to the warehouse.
Okay.
It was my first time there, and I was like, whoa. It kind of scared me when I first got there because there's this long flight of stairs going up. It reminded me of The Exorcist. We hit the long flight of stairs, and
It reminded you of The Exorcist?
well, just the whole flight of stairs. And like,
You know,
I don't know, it's kinda weird.
the Exorcist, the window, the
Yeah,
bath-
and whatever.
With tumble-
And then
I gotta watch that movie.
I know, right? I think Ron Braswell was sitting at the top
Okay.
of the stairs, and
So wait, a young lady took you there. So you
yeah,
didn't know
it was
anything
her,
about it.
and she had. I had heard about. I talked to Farley Keith back then.
Okay.
And he was saying that he would go, where he would get his music from.
Okay.
Was go listen to Frankie, and then he would get his music from him, or not get it from him, but
Okay.
that's how.
That's how. Yeah,
that's
he was
right.
inspired by that.
Exactly.
Correct,
yes.
Exactly. So, this young lady had a couple gay friends, and I was cool with that.
Yeah.
And we all jumped in a car
Uh-huh.
and went down to the warehouse, and it was
Okay.
the most amazing experience ever.
Really?
Oh my God! I mean, you climb all these stairs, and then you pay to get in, check
Yes.
your coat, then you go all the way to the back of the building.
Yeah.
Don't.
What?
Somebody said something about that was their way of letting people know whether or not that was the way that you could tell people if they went there or not. You can just ask them, how do you get to the dance floor?
Oh,
And
that's a
some
real.
people.
Oh.
Yeah, how do you get to the dance floor at the warehouse?
Okay.
So
The
if they look
warehouse
real befuddled, that means that they probably.
never
Probably,
heard-
yeah, they just
Okay,
heard about
so
it.
you heard it here. The litmus test for if you were there is if you know how to get to the dance floor.
Right.
So we're going to tell you the secret now, but try it with your friends who claim to have been there.
Yeah. Well, we go to the extreme back of the building.
Yes.
And then you would come down the stairs.
Right.
And,
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Were those stairs, could you see through the stairs or were they solid?
I'm not sure. I wasn't looking at the stairs. I was looking at, it was all flashing lights, and it was
Right.
really dark, and then red flashing lights.
Yeah.
Michael, do you remember?
I want to say you could see through them. I
Oh,
want to
wow.
say they didn't
Because
have backs.
I found an article that I wrote
She
in
said something
college about going to the warehouse.
Yeah.
And I was saying people were putting their hands in the stairs, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
I would say they didn't have backs to them. They were
okay, This is a good question. If you were at the warehouse, did the stairs descending to the dance floor from the upper floor, were the treads open or closed? Okay. Answer that question.
Yes.
That's a Robert Williams question.
That's a Robert Williams question.
Yeah, right.
But continue, please.
And then descending to the dance floor was, Frankie is playing this music, and it was then he dropped the bass out, and the tweeters are going, and it blew my mind. I can't imagine going. That's the only place in the world I could have been right then, and that's where it started.
And that was your first experience.
That was it. Yeah. And you just come down. You're coming down the stairs, and bodies are moving up and down. It was kind of like it's dark, but there's flashing lights, and the music is just. It filled you. It filled you. Yeah, it was amazing.
I got so there is in the Matrix, what was that movie with Larry Fishburne?
The Matrix.
The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
So there was one where they was in this kind of cave kind of place, and they started playing the music, and people were slow motion jumping up and down, Remember that?
Yeah.
That's how. It's
how
almost
it
like how the warehouse.
Now,
was
was that the acid in the punch, or was that?
I think it was a combination of a lot. Yeah, right.
Kevin has never used
And I didn't
drugs.
get mine.
And I told Kevin, we were having a conversation
Yeah, we were.
last week. And I said, Kevin, you were doing drugs in the warehouse.
And Kevin, you were not doing drugs in the warehouse.
I was not consciously doing
He
drugs.
drank tons of the punch.
Listen, I'm with you. I wasn't consciously doing drugs either. I just was wondering, why am I having so much fun?
I know, right?
And how is it that we can stay up till 7 a.m.
I know that's right.
dancing?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So the young lady who took you there,
Yeah.
had she been there before?
I don't think so.
Did she surprise you and say, we're going to a gay club? Or
No. It was her friends. They were like, "Oh, let's all get together and go to this party."
to the warehouse?
Yeah, and I'm grateful to them because had they not taken me, I maybe never met Frankie. So
Okay.
it was just oh my God, so much fun.
Now, at some point, you became a fan and you started going more often. Were
Exactly.
you hooked every week after that, or?
I believe so. I don't think we stayed away from the place.
Right.
And then my mother was like, "You guys gotta either work or go to school or get out," because we were coming from the parties and sleeping all day because we've been out all night.
Wow, your mom was really cool. She let you come in.
Not necessarily. I got kicked out.
Yeah, he got kicked out, and I got kicked out.
Right.
That's a common story.
That
People get
is-
kicked out.
Yeah.
So that's a quintessential warehouse reaction.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And that's all part of his power plant experience and getting kicked out.
Oh, okay.
It's very interesting.
We're going to get to the power plant.
Oh yeah.
Because you were able to convince your older brother to come to this gay bar.
Oh yeah.
How did that go?
Well,
She when I came here before, I told her that we went once, and I was homophobic, so I didn't come the next week. But then we talked, me and you talked. You was like, "Hey man, you got to come back."
yeah, the
I
music
ended up
was
coming
amazing.
back. Yeah.
So I mean, and that's my driving force. I hear music, I'm going where it is.
Yes.
And I can't stay away from there.
Uh-huh.
And I had to come back
Yeah.
and get more. I would go to Rialto, and that was a gay bar.
Yes, you
And-
went to Rialto. Wow.
Yeah, but Michael
The music-
Izubuku was playing.
Right.
And, I mean, you couldn't even fit in the place.
No.
But the music was there, and that's
Yeah.
all I wanted to be, where the music was.
We've been talking about Rialto a bit. I think that we talked about the last couple of shows. It's getting a lot more attention for some reason.
Yeah.
We got to get Michael Izubuku down here.
Yes.
You know, that because I think that that's an important piece of the story. Did you ever go to Rialto's?
I went inside once, and for a short period of time,
think
and
you
it was so
probably went
dark.
with me.
It was so dark in there. Then I said, "I'll wait for you outside."
Really? You were like, music be damned.
But it was
Not going in there.
it was during the day. I don't think that there was much going
Not going-
on.
okay.
You know, I didn't have the experience that my brother had, where
Right.
there was a party going on.
Uh-huh.
I just remembered it was just so dark. I couldn't see
Yes.
anybody, and
Rialto's, was it dark like that?
I wasn't no just in his mind.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never been talking.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that dark. I remember the front being actually very light.
Yeah.
oh, well,
Like
yeah.
Package goods.
It was more lit than you're right. It was more lit than most bars.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you had to walk in and they would sell you beers. Like you could go get a 6-pack there, right?
But
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
being young there, you kind of felt like you were a piece of meat.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Older guys felt like that too.
yeah.
All right, so let's
Yeah.
get into the piece of meat discussion. Because I think that that had to feel. I mean, you guys were young, attractive.
Yeah.
You know, these really handsome dudes going into a gay bar. You must have got a lot of attention.
Yes, we did.
I mean, it's
my funniest story was I would at 5 a.m. at the power plant. I worked the front door, so these women would show up, and I had no idea what a transsexual was. They were all the girls from the baton,
Okay.
and Leslie Regine, who did Diana Ross, came up to
Yeah.
me. She would always say, "You're such a handsome young man." And I'm like, "Thank you, ma'am. Thank you." And she happened to be a guy.
She was a woman, but she was
Well,
biologically
yeah. Just for,
born.
well,
yes.
yeah. So you have to explain that to the
Right,
audience.
right.
Yeah,
Yes, so she was a
Yeah,
transgender person.
later
Right,
on,
coming-
I found
coming
out.
from-
It didn't change my
Yes.
perspective of her.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm open like that.
Yes,
So,
but you got some attention. How that?
Oh,
Okay,
God.
let's go back to the warehouse. Did you get hit on?
of course.
Now I'm sure everybody gets hit on at the warehouse. I didn't get hit on, but you know they weren't.
Okay.
I wasn't.
I don't believe
the
that.
cup of tea.
Yeah.
Okay, I got hit on a little bit.
I know. I
think
know.
we all-
Don't
we
you?
all got
Don't
hit
you
on.
guys believe? Don't believe that she got hit on.
What's up, Tracy? Phaedra Klein. What's up, girl? She said she went to Rialto's often and it was a blast. I used to go there too. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they tended to treat the ladies all right.
Yeah,
That's good.
I didn't see many ladies there.
Yeah, I know. I live right down the street, so I
yeah.
went there all the time.
Yeah, that's fun.
Now, Kevin, we talked about this last time, but so that didn't bother you that you were in a gay environment and that guys were hitting on you.
Well, eventually, you say, "Okay, sir," you know.
Yeah.
I'm not down with all that,
Right.
so thank you.
I-
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to sound like, you know, you get a cookie for that, but you do. You get a cookie for that because, look, women deal with it all the time. You know,
Sure.
women who are, men who hit on women on the streets and cat calls and all that, and you have to sort of just deal with it. The reason that I bring it up for men is that, you know, men tend to have more of a reaction if it happens.
Yeah.
So if you are strong in who you are, you know, you can go wherever you want.
Exactly.
That
And-
would allow you to.
Yeah, and I always believe that you put out respect
Right.
and you get respect back.
Right.
So, do it kind. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm not like that, but
Yeah.
I'm just here to hear the music. And eventually, people will
Will
say,
leave
But there were some relentless guys
Oh,
here
yeah.
I was
too.
going to ask you. I was going to ask you. So, how would you deal with someone who just wouldn't take no for an answer?
Well, I mean, it really like it was this guy named Pancho.
Ooh, we calling out names.
Exactly.
God rest
Okay.
his soul. I mean,
Okay, well,
he was relentless. But again, you kind of more or less.
okay.
It just becomes a fun time after a while.
Right.
If you want to go there, it's just you know it's coming.
Right.
So then so you just have a good time with him. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You're not taking offense to it.
Sure.
You know, if you're doing that, you might as well not go.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
So I would laugh and say, you know what, get out of here. You know. And
and they don't respect you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, if you can only say no so many times, and then like, okay, stop,
Yeah.
just stop.
I think it's tough. I mean, like, Lauren, I'm sure this has happened to you. It happens to a lot of women, but you know, I've had a fair share of kind of stalkers. You know, a few throughout my life, and sometimes it's really tough.
Yeah.
Like I had one who lived in the neighborhood where I lived, and he had kind of a job where he could stalk people.
Oh wow.
And I'd be coming out my building, and I'm seeing them there, and then I'd be coming home from work, and I'm seeing them there. And it felt, you know, like benign at first, and then it got really creepy.
Oh wow.
And I was like, I don't quite know how to handle this. And luckily, I moved. so
That's how you handle it.
Well,
to remove yourself. Yeah.
well, he did. I mean, and I didn't move because of him, but luckily he wasn't, you know, that driven to find me.
Right.
But you know, I can imagine. I don't know if that would happen in a situation like this, but you know, I don't know. Have you ever had anything like that happen?
No. And because Kevin and I are a team,
Yes.
we pull out a can of,
I'll whoop your butt.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that gets ceased.
So that's good. So talk about being brothers in the house music community. So you did some work. There were some times where you joined forces, like you said.
Oh, absolutely.
When did you find strength in your number?
Well, we've always been a team since we
Yes.
were children.
Yeah.
If he was
Except
fighting,
in high
I was.
school.
No, we were like little.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would always. Well, if he was fighting, I'm not gonna see anybody fight him. He's my brother. He's my only brother at the time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I jump in there.
So it's just a maternal bond. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
You know, and well, we moved to Chicago,
Yeah.
so now we're in a foreign place.
Right.
So what that tends to do is that tends to ties the bond a little bit more.
Right.
Because if you don't know anybody, you lean on your
siblings.
family.
Next
Yeah.
You know,
things,
so-
yeah.
Do you guys have any other siblings?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, seven of us.
Seven of us.
Seven. Okay, what's your birth order? Where do you fall?
Oh, I'm the second oldest, and
Okay.
he's the first oldest.
You're the oldest.
Correct.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Boys, girls.
Yeah.
4 boys and 3 girls.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big
Mustafa
family.
is another pretty famous DJ.
Yeah.
He's on the Jam now.
Who's that?
My brother Mustafa
Hello.
Abdullah.
Oh wow. Okay.
He's on the Jam in the morning, and he plays at a lot of
Get outta
a lot of
here.
clubs. Yeah.
Did he go to the warehouse? he was
No,
too
No,
young.
he was too
but
young.
he was influenced by the music through
That you
us.
guys were playing. See?
Correct.
Yeah. I think a lot of people went there.
Echo chamber.
Because all Mustafa's friends
Yeah.
and they were all like, ooh, you know, you guys are hanging out down there.
Okay.
And here and there, we would get tapes from Frankie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We would hear it.
Now you became friends with Frankie.
Yeah.
Talk about your friendship
What
with
a
Frankie.
wonderful man. Yeah.
How did that happen? How'd you meet him?
I don't remember how it happened. But you know, kindred spirit. We were drawn to each other.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. He
Yeah.
was such a wonderful person.
I remember Mike's story is that he just hung out outside of the DJ booth long enough till Frankie was like, "Come on in."
Right.
Yeah,
right.
right? You can
Right,
only stand
Mike?
up there
Well,
so long.
Frankie was that kind of guy.
So,
Yeah.
You
so
know what I
you
mean?
don't remember meeting Frankie?
I do.
What happened?
Nothing.
I mean, how did you meet him?
Andre, he was at the gallery. I didn't meet him at the warehouse,
Okay.
but I met him at the gallery, which was the in between the warehouse and the power plant. And Andre Hatchett introduced me to him, and we talk. We talk as much as we could while he was playing records.
Sure.
But because of that, I started working at the power plant.
Okay.
That was the inception.
How did you get that job?
Now that I'm not 100% sure, but obviously we had to keep in touch. I kept seeing him, and he says, "Well, maybe he says, yeah, listen, I'm opening up a new club, you know."
Right.
And maybe I says, "Well,
I need a job."
I need a job, you know. So he says, "Okay."
Kevin actually lived with Frankie.
I did.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the time that my mother said, "Hey, look,
Hit the bricks.
you're out," so.
What year was that and where did you live?
Oh Lord, have mercy.
83.
You guys, where were you guys living at the
1983.
time?
83 on Clifton.
On
On
Fletcher.
Clifton.
I thought it was Fletcher.
Clifton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
Mike, were you there too?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
well,
boy.
well, the thing was is I got kicked out that weekend.
Okay.
So the thing was, I had nowhere to go.
Wow.
I worked at the club, and Frankie was just like,
How did you get kicked out?
my mother said, "You gotta leave."
Hanging out all night.
You-
Because-
Miss Abdullah didn't pull
She
no
didn't play
punches.
that.
She was like,
She said if the other kids saw us get away with stuff, she'd have a hard time raising 5 more kids.
Yeah.
So it was time for us to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I slept on Ron Hardy's floor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
He lived over on Belmont, just west of the lakefront.
Okay.
Yeah.
Around the lake.
So you were at Frankie's house and
And
you
I
were
was
at
over at
Ron.
Ron.
I don't know if that was simultaneously,
Right.
right?
Just
I
happened
think-
to work
I
out
think
that
it
way.
makes for a better story.
But no, we were
Change the
leaving. We were
timeline.
leaving the club. I told Frankie, I said, I got kicked out. I have nowhere to go. He was like, "You got some." He's like, "Well, this is true Frankie Knuckles."
Yeah.
He says, "You got somewhere to go."
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's wow. Yeah. There'll never be another.
there
No.
will never be. another.
Never, ever.
So let's talk about your time at the power plant. The power plant is where Mike had a residency.
Correct.
And this was a club at 1015
North Halsted.
North Halsted. This is, for you listeners, 1015 North Halsted is an industrial area. It was at the time just a little bit south of Cabrini Green.
Correct.
Or
No,
north,
just
a little bit. It's
Yeah,
like,
south of Cabrini.
yeah, a little bit
well,
south.
it's just west of Cabrini.
Between
No,
Chicago and
no, south of Cabrini.
yeah, so
Okay.
right in the neighborhood of Cabrini Green, which was a pretty famous, housing project. It is sort of the backdrop for the show Good Times.
Yeah.
And it was where Cooley High was an iconic movie film
Yes.
of 1975, 76 that launched the careers of a few people.
Yeah.
And so this was an interesting neighborhood to have a club.
Yeah.
Talk about that
Oh
neighborhood.
my God.
We were just talking about that. You
yeah.
went there before the.
Yeah, I actually went in with Frankie and was looking at the space to
Yeah.
take
How
over
did-
the
yeah, I
club.
was going to ask, what do you know about and Mike, feel free to chime in. What do you know about how that location was determined?
I don't know, because I just went along with them to see
Mm-hmm.
the space. We actually looked at it.
I might be able to add to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, please do.
So, right after the warehouse closed, Frankie was working here and there, and there was a club called the Riverside Club.
Riverside.
It was a basically Caucasian club. It was basically all Caucasian, and it was kind of like the Queen parties. It was pretty much a lot like that. And Frankie was working there from time to time, and they decided that they were going to close that club. And Frankie decided, well, I want this.
He was working at 10:15 before.
He was working at 10:15
Okay.
before it was the power plant. It
Okay.
was the Riverside Club.
Okay.
And they wanted to get rid of it, and Frankie wanted it.
So was he doing house disco dance music there? I mean, I don't remember that before it was
this
10:15.
was maybe 2 weeks after the warehouse closed. It was
Wow.
right after the warehouse closed.
Okay. Was he hired as like a house DJ or was it his party?
It was their party. He was just
playing.
They just hired him
DJ,
to
yeah.
play.
hired him to play. Yes.
Because do you remember it? I don't remember that.
Yes.
I remember
I
just
don't.
being in there
Just
once.
being in there
Yeah.
once, just to check it out.
Yeah.
Was it during a party or was it?
Yeah, yeah.
As this is the potential space. So it ended up being a pretty a good spot.
Yeah.
I don't even think we thought about the fact. Miko was just saying that he lived in Cabrini Green.
Yeah,
And he used
Shout
to
out to Miko.
He
Yeah.
used to go to the
Miko.
power plant. I wonder,
Out on the road.
Miko, it would be interesting to hear your thoughts. Did you go to the power plant because it was of its proximity,
Demographics. Yeah.
or was that just good luck? So interesting to hear your point of view. Because I'm wondering, did it attract people from the community?
No.
Because it was there.
I've actually talked to him about that.
So tell me, how did that jibe with the community that it was in?
I never really saw anybody
it
from.
didn't jive well.
Cabrini.
It didn't jibe well.
It didn't jive well.
Because?
We initially had a problem with the Cabrini Green kids breaking in cars,
Yeah.
smashing windows.
Right.
Yeah.
All they would go down the block.
Yes.
I mean, because cars would be parked for blocks,
Yeah.
and they would go down and smash and grab every car on
Wow.
the line,
But
all the way down Hall Street.
I will
Wow.
say that there we didn't have any problem within the club because
Okay.
I was working security in the club, so we didn't have any problem in the club. But yeah, that's right because cars are getting broken into.
How did you guys deal with that outside?
The police did. The police came.
So they-
We couldn't really do anything.
Yeah, it's not much you
about
can
it.
do after the car's broken into.
I went there a lot. I don't remember getting my car broken
That only
into.
happened a few times
Yeah,
because
yeah.
initially, when the club first opened, it was happening, and then I think they got used to it. I
They
think
got used to their
actually
cars getting broken
got used-
into, or-
No, they got used to it.
Well-
they got used to the cars being
Being there.
They realized that hey, this is, and actually I think Frankie had some type of dialogue
Okay.
with some of their hierarchy,
Yeah.
wherever they might have been.
Okay.
And I remember Frankie having dialogue with them.
Well, in addition to that too, is that we hired some guys like Donzel and big guys, and what we would have them to do is rotate outside, stand outside if the weather permitted, to stand outside and make sure that the cars weren't being broken into. I think that was one aspect
Yeah.
of trying to alleviate the cars being broken into.
Craig Loftus said that they met with the gang leaders.
Yeah, they did exactly. Like
Okay.
their hierarchy.
So that was good.
Hey, Craig.
What's Donzel's last name?
What's what?
Donzel. Who is that? Donzel's last name.
And Miko just followed some cute girls up into the space. Okay.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
All
There was a
right.
guy named Big Mike that used to work
You
there.
were in love. That's
Y'all
good,
got Big
Miko.
Mike's first and last name?
No,
Like
no,
just Big Mike.
no. He was a security.
Well, whatever they did, it seemed to work because I remember feeling very safe. We knew Cabrini Green was around the corner, but that didn't scare anybody off
No.
because it was
Did not.
packed.
Oh my
Yes.
God, yeah.
That
It was the
place-
most amazing thing because at first there's no cars, and then you go outside and it's just as far as you can see, there's
Right.
cars parked everywhere.
Yeah.
What was the craziest night you guys had
Oh my
there?
God. It might have been Jamie Principal performed there.
Okay.
The first time.
Uh-huh.
And that was amazing.
I've
There's
been
so many
recording
amazing times.
Yeah.
I couldn't. At first, I didn't work there, so I just stood in the booth with Frankie, and that was a
Okay.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
But eventually, I got a job there, and
Yeah.
they put me to collect money at the front,
Okay.
which was torture because I can't dance and stuff and
While you're
hang
trying to
out
collect money.
when you're supposed to be counting money.
That's
so.
true.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun.
And you, Craig was mentioning that you used to hang out at the back door
Well, no, I was right on the dance floor.
on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Right in
It's-
between
there's a
the
picture.
dance floor.
Restrooms.
And with-
get
and the-
high.
And
Yeah.
what was your role?
My role was
Speak
to.
into the mic a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. My role was to keep the opening clear between the dance floor and the back area, which was a sitting area and the restrooms.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And so, what you just keep it moving?
Yeah,
Right.
just kind of keep the crowd in the flow.
You have to remember one crazy night.
Well, I give it. Okay, so now I got. Well, let me give you two. So
Okay.
one is we're setting up for the New Year's party, and Frankie had us going downstairs grabbing chairs, and we were using the
Elevator.
freight elevator.
Mm-hmm.
So I haphazardly just because it's one of those where you pull it up and they come apart. Well, I threw it up a little too hard. It came off the track and hit me in the leg, and I was unconscious.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It knocked you out.
So I started hollering. When I came to, I started hollering for Frankie. Frankie came. I got into. They called an ambulance. It was that bad, and we went to Hen Roden Hospital, which is not a hospital anymore.
Oh,
over there
wow,
on
that's right.
over there around Oak and what is that?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
That name, huh?
I was there for about 5 days. It was that bad.
What?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well,
He
the
split his leg
door,
open.
that door that goes up came off of the
Right.
whatever it
So
was, and it came down and hit.
your leg.
Yeah, it cut me pretty bad.
Eesh.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I missed the party.
Well, that's the least of your worries.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that was one. But you know what? It was you never really. There was no problems.
No.
Believe it or not, everybody was there. The
Yeah.
people that were there
It was
were
a
there.
different atmosphere.
Yeah.
back then. There was a lot of
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
and that's not what the clubs are like now.
No. Hey, Mike, remind me. I was watching a video. It's been circulated on YouTube a lot. I think it was the opening night of the Powerhouse.
Yes.
Because my friend John Jordan has a little clip in
God
there.
rest John Jordan.
Rest in
And
peace.
rest in
Yeah,
peace.
rest in peace.
Because
Yes.
he was doing lights. I think he did lights at the power plant too.
Him and Craig.
Craig Loftus.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Yeah. So yeah, I miss John, but John Jordan was actually the reason. Now Craig introduced me to Frankie. I mean, we were going at the warehouse at the same time, but he was much more sort of trying to
I
get
remember
in
you
his
used to come
orbit.
by the house and you and Craig would come
Every
by
night,
together.
yeah. And but John was the one who really. That's how I developed a relationship with Frankie.
okay.
Was after all of that. I mean, I knew Frankie, and he actually came to check me out in spinning and all that. But in New York, when I moved to New York, Frankie lived in New York, and John Jordan lived in New York. And,
Really?
yeah, and so we would go by his house and hang out at the clubs he was spinning, and that's when I really got to know him.
Yeah, John was a
When we
good.
come to the studio
John
with
was a
him and
good
all that.
kid. Yes, he was.
We miss you, John.
Yes, we do.
That was that was a terrible thing that we lost.
Yes,
John.
there's a whole lot of that is unfortunately there's a whole lot of people that we lost.
That we lost.
Yeah, just a whole lot of people that we lost because of one thing or another. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah. You know, Kevin, a while ago, there were some things you wanted to get off your chest.
No, I mean,
Oh boy.
oh yeah, well, I can be
There were some things you wanted to get off your
controversial
chest.
at times, but
Yes, we missed them.
what exactly?
I don't know, but I remember we had a long talk on the phone because you're like, you want to set the record straight.
No, I think I pretty much
Did you get it
said
off
what
your
I
chest?
wanted to say.
Can we summarize it?
To summarize it was the whole where did house music come from?
That argument.
And that
Okay.
and for someone, I'll say this, for someone not to involve Frankie in that is it's like blasphemy.
Okay.
You know, you
Yeah.
have to. He is the inception of it.
Okay.
It can't, you can't get around it, over it. People say that house music came from a guy that was playing music in his basement of his house. Really, come on, stop it. Don't do that. You have to. He has to be. He is the core
Yeah.
of it.
He's ground zero.
He is ground zero. The music that was being played at the warehouse was music that
Yes.
was played out at the other clubs that you could pick up at Import, etc.
Right.
And that's that's where all of these guys everybody has to pay homage to him.
That's
If you're
right.
playing music and you're using that little crossover thing with the what is it? What is it called? Where you turn the it's
Yeah,
a
it's called
crossover.
crossover.
If you're using that now, it's because of Frankie Knuckles.
All right.
Right? Am I right?
All right.
Am I right? Am
That's
I right?
right. Rick Lenoir, I saw you with Lenoir. I always
I
mess
say
it up.
Lenoir too.
Lenoir. He was tuning in. Well, okay, no, I think that's good. And I feel like we're going to have that discussion to the end of time.
Yeah.
Lauren, it all depends on who you ask. And
Yeah.
when people have to understand, when you came on the scene, that's when you started.
Right.
So you would really have to, you would have to be back. You have to be at the warehouse to really understand it. Then you could have a stake in trying to figure it out. But please, just if you came in during latter, we'll stick to that time.
Yeah.
That timeline, because each individual has their own say and
their
their
story.
own
Their perspective.
exactly.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just some of us were fortunate enough to be there
Right.
during the earliest stages, and we were able to listen to this great man, Frankie Knuckles.
So let's talk about the music back then versus the music now.
Oh.
Now, I mean, I've had this conversation a lot, and, music evolves. There's some stuff that's better. There's some stuff that's worse. One of the things that everyone seems to agree with me on this show, and I think Robert Williams did a nice job of summarizing it. He said the warehouse wasn't necessarily this brand spanking new music, although there were certainly different manifestations. Frankie would do his magic and create remixes on the spot.
Yeah.
But it was the application. That's his terminology. It was the way that the music sounded. It was the production around it. It was the feeling of that place. There were so many things that were all. It was sort of like a chemistry that created that sound. That impression. Do you think that there are comparable venues? Something that you would say, if you want to have a warehouse experience and you are a youngster right now, go here.
No. I can't imagine. I'll stop going out a while.
Okay.
So, see,
I'd rather listen to my music at home.
Right.
Okay.
So, and that only shows us that if there was somewhere that gave him that feeling,
Right.
he would be there. Now, Emmanuel and what's his name?
Sheldon.
Sheldon
Uh-huh.
have this new club, and me and Michael went there the other day, and I swear to you, the music is right there.
Yes.
It is. It's
big
tough,
shout out.
isn't it?
Big shout out to the Post.
Yes.
Every week somebody gets it.
I'm
gives
telling
it
you
love.
that
So,
the sound
Emmanuel, I
is
will
incredible.
get there. I promise. He's been saying.
Yeah, you
I'm
have to go listen now. They have a.
Emmanuel played David Joseph.
Yes.
Can't Hide Your Love. He played the vinyl.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm having a.
Are you having a flashback?
I'm having a power plant flashback.
I'm
I
telling
was
you.
like, I can't do
Jesse
this.
De
The
La
sound
Pena, what's
system
up?
there
Thanks
is-
for checking us out. He
is-
said, hey.
Yeah, the sound system there is totally incredible, and
Yes.
I don't take that lightly. I don't.
Where is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It's on a state on
Post. The Post, 50 something and 55th
State.
and State.
Yeah.
I said it was better
Yes.
than Paradise Garage.
The Post?
Oh wow.
Yes.
All right,
That's
so
kinda
listen.
neat.
So
you,
shout out.
You,
Shout
you
out
have
to you
heard
guys.
it here. Sheldon, Emmanuel, whatever you guys are doing, it is working. I do have one question for you. So we're 30 years plus this era.
Ooh, 30 is.
Yes,
40.
maybe more than that. Could you experience something? Isn't that just a part of like your youth? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, do we want an elevated experience?
do we
I
want
do.
to
I would love to. I would love it. I would love to.
re-experience?
I would love it, and I would love for the new kids
Yeah.
to have that same experience.
When I
Yeah,
went-
but
Go ahead.
it's a different time.
Sure.
Like I said, back then everyone loved each other.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of love out there now.
Yeah. You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Really?
There's
Well,
no
at least
love
I
in this
don't
room
think so.
right now?
What's that? Oh, you're here. But I'm talking about in general.
Well-
the kids don't go out to listen to the music.
Right.
No.
and it's fractured now. The house community is just kind of fractured. You know, these individuals go just to this person's club, and they go here. You know, so there's different like factions.
Right.
Yeah, and you call it potato, I'll call it potato. Yeah, there are different varieties.
Yes.
I don't go out anymore because I don't like the new music.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't have the heart and soul of the old music.
Do you like the remixes of the old music? Not
Nah,
really.
man. Some old music,
Need to stay old.
yes. Some are perfect.
Some old music
just the
needs
way
to
it
stay
is.
old.
Leave it alone.
That's what's up. Sheldon said thanks. Well, thank you. Thanks for putting on a good party, because everybody's talking about it. So
Yeah,
I will be down to visit that club very soon.
right.
So, Sheldon, will you come on our show and talk about the Post? You can bring Emmanuel back. He can spin. It'll be a lot of fun. So listen, what advice do you have for people who want to experience what you experienced? Because I feel like it was foundational, and that your place in that history was important to a lot of people. You know, just seeing your presence and knowing your bond, and you were beautiful and friendly, and you know, tell
Oh, you go first, Greg.
us some advice.
I don't know. That combination is hard to put together. Frankie,
Yes.
the sound, the club, that is a marriage that people miss it for the fact that they got the
Yes.
club, but they don't have the DJ. And then
Sure.
you can have the DJ, but not the club.
Right.
So this was just it was just like something that just it was a multitude of things that came together, but it was something that was new too. The
That's true.
sound was new. The way he was playing the music was new.
Do we need something new?
Ah.
Something that, I mean, and maybe it's not for us to I think we should always be experiencing new things.
Absolutely.
Let me ask, Mike, let me ask you this. Back then at the warehouse days, the audience was pretty young.
Yes.
Were there older people there? Would you see people?
Yeah.
Yes.
There
Absolutely.
were people in their 40s and 50s hanging out there.
Absolutely. Yes.
So there were people our age who were discovering this for the first time as well.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I think you're never too late to discover something new.
Exactly.
Correct.
You're never too old to discover something new. How could we recreate that?
I don't know if he can.
I think you could. What you want to do is you just want to put together a good sound system, right?
Right.
And then have a DJ that responds to the crowd. He plays to what they want to hear.
Yeah.
You can't have a selfish DJ. You have to have a DJ that has the pulse of the crowd, because it's circular.
Yeah.
What you play a song, they react, right? And then what it is the energy that you give back to
Yes.
them, and it's like a tennis match. It just goes back and forth.
Right.
I will watch Frankie as it was almost like an orchestration of music being played, and I will watch the crowd from my bird's eye view how they would react to it. It was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, wasn't it?
Well, a true DJ takes you on a musical journey.
Yes.
So
Can I ask you something? Well, Craig said his sound system is not chopped liver. So, shout out to the lodge.
No. Craig's
We
been
love the
here,
lodge, too.
and we've talked about the lodge and the sound
Yes.
system of the lodge. I posted, you know what I mean. But I'm just telling you about
They
something
do
that
have
was
a great-
recent that we just.
He said
that we
then they
just-
do have a great. Erica
They
Kane
do.
loves the Post. She'll be there Friday. Here's something that I feel like is missing. When I used to go to the power plant and a lot of these clubs, you could get away from the music, like if you wanted
in the
to.
front where
But a lot of these clubs you can't. It's like wall to wall.
well they don't
loudness.
they don't have the space. They don't
Well,
have the space
I feel
that
like you have to create that though.
yes, true.
I agree.
I feel like in all of these clubs, create a space where people, can sit and talk to each other.
Sure.
Even at the warehouse, you can go downstairs. You go
Yeah.
upstairs. You had options.
Sure.
Loungy up there, get your drink on downstairs, come in the middle floor and dance.
It's-
I think that helped
I
because
think
it
so,
gave
too.
you a reprieve.
Right, or you can decompress while you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or either if it's a young lady or young man or
You have
however
somebody-
you're
right.
grooving with, and you you can't talk over the music. You want to take them downstairs and have a
Right.
conversation with them for a little
All
while.
right. I think my colleagues here agree, Post and Lodge and everybody else. We got to have some semi-quiet spaces so you can do your thing.
Well, let me say that Craig Loftus has created that.
Right here.
What he did is he's kind of separated the sound from the back of the club, whereas that there's a space where someone can go and have a conversation
Okay.
and things of that nature. Shout out to the lodge and
I
the
gotta
sound
go. I
system.
haven't
I've
been there
already
in a while.
posted about Craig's the great job that Craig Loftus has done with that
Right.
amazing space that he has.
It's a great space.
Yes.
But
Well,
let's
we-
talk about the sustainability of the spaces back then, which clearly didn't last.
Craig,
And the sustainability of these clubs now.
Yes, Lorna. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Founders Day. Lorna is my friend who's an AKA. Lauren is talking about sustainability. How long? What's your question, Lorna?
See, I mean, these clubs came and went.
What is that again?
Clearly,
Lauren?
you know,
It's
I'll go
about
on.
Come on now.
You know, these clubs came and went, and we're talking about the history of these clubs.
Mm-hmm.
What is the sustainability of? So you, Mike, will know why the warehouse closed, why the power plant
Mm-hmm.
closed. We see these clubs now that you all are, heralding their sound systems. You all are not coming to the clubs anymore. You've
Mm-hmm.
announced. What is the sustainability of these places? Do we own these places? Is it an elevated level of partying that older people might need, that young people might appreciate? What are people doing? What are we all doing to make these clubs sustainable? And how do we assist in making places where people will last? For like restaurants, sometimes they come and go, sometimes they'll stay around for a while. What are we doing? How are all of our club owners making this so that they'll do this for another 10 years?
Right.
Well,
Or do they want to?
Well, I just think that it's about the product that you put out.
Right.
And with that, it has a lot to do with you having your licenses, so that if the police just so happen to come into your establishment, they're not closing you down. One, two is what you're putting out there. Everybody's playing music and stuff like that. What else are you doing that's different from everybody else? I think that's what people are looking for too. But
Yeah.
it's and I think with that combination, you can sustain, because it's about money.
Yeah.
You have to make money to keep the club
Right.
open, right? So I think.
Mike, why did those clubs close? Why did you close Power?
Why did the clubs close? Why did the warehouse power plant close?
Mainly because of city ordinance. The power plant closed mainly because of city ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, the city actually got tired of the after-hours parties.
Yes.
Yes.
And the music box was having a problem down on Michigan Avenue.
Demographics.
A huge problem.
Right.
It's smash and grab in those
Yes.
Gold Coast stores.
Coming
and-
upstairs from the downtown area,
yeah,
coming in.
down from the underground.
Right.
and-
Coming up from the underground.
And so they got kind of fed up with the whole
Yeah.
after hours scene, the whole juice bar
Mm-hmm.
scene.
So they put legislation in.
And they put legislation in to say these clubs can't be open past 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock,
right.
Whatever.
Right.
regular bar hours.
Right.
You can't go till noon the next day anymore.
So Brenton said when Harold Washington passed, the clubs died out. We've talked about that, Brenton.
Yeah.
I do think there might have been there might
There was
have been
kind of
some racial
that was kind of a,
stuff attached to that.
just the time happened to have been
Yeah.
around the same time.
But it was also kind of the rise of raves, and raves. So if you combine sort of
I think the raves came later.
Yeah.
it wasn't that much later though, like
Not
late
a whole lot.
80s,
Yeah.
early 90s.
Yeah. So
It kind of sealed the deal. Like
yeah.
you couldn't get a public amusement license after that, or
Right.
whatever
Yes.
that license was. Miko said music box closed because the crimes of the boosters,
Yes.
breaking windows, and all the
On
theft.
locals, absolutely.
It's the underside of house music. Well, listen, boosters.
Yeah.
That's a whole different show. We're gonna have a
Exactly,
show
correct.
about boosters.
Can we get some boosters on the show?
Shout out to Gino.
Ooh, shade. We have to have some shade that happens. Boosting was a big deal.
It was fashion. They were stealing Giorgio Armani and
Bugatti
stuff like that. So 9 times out of 10, if you came to the club in a fresh outfit, you best believe you got it on a low.
Yeah, Yeah, no, there were a lot of boosters.
Yes, it
You know how that? No, I'm not going to be shady.
Why
It's too
not?
late.
Right.
You gotta tell us now.
It's too
I know,
late
right?
now.
Open
it
Pandora's
It
box.
does continue though. The boosting tradition continues in a different club scene.
I actually benefit from the boosters because I worked the front door.
Uh-huh.
So when they wanted to get in, they didn't have to pay because they give me a jacket. The guest jackets were coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
hey, I
right.
got this. And I'm like, all right.
All right, yeah.
Oh my God.
So I always had fresh stuff.
Yeah, right.
That is another show.
That
You don't
is
have Lauren Bugatti glasses for some
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
oh,
Yeah,
God.
that's right. Yeah.
It's kind of reminded me that I don't want to go off on another tangent, but it sort of reminds me of the ball community. Now the ball community was there. There's a fair amount of boosting in the ball. I'm not dissing the whole ball community. I love the ball community.
What's
They're
the ball
awesome.
community?
The ball community are people who are in houses who vogue.
houses,
you
yes.
know,
Oh, yeah.
the
Oh,
voguers.
Yeah. The
Right.
pose.
Pose.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so that was happening in Chicago. It wasn't as big in Chicago as it was in New York, but we eventually got a big scene, and that that was kind of part of the deal. Is that if you had to have outfits every week
Yeah.
for all these different categories,
You couldn't
you
afford
had
it.
to make them or you had to mop them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Boost.
boost. So people did what they had to do,
Yes.
And
I
they were
get
good
that.
at it.
Yeah, they are. Very good at it.
Medusa's was the start of the downfall. Okay, we can talk about Medusa's all day long. But anyway, we'll have another show about boosting because I think it's a really interesting
Yeah,
topic.
it is.
Boosting and drugs.
Oh, God.
The other underside.
That's
The
true.
other underbelly.
We
Go
need
like
a
that.
show about that. We need a show about that. That's a good one. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one.
So. I
I
think
tried to go there once and you guys shut me down.
no, we didn't.
Did we shut you
We
down?
didn't shut you down.
It was an inopportune time, Michael.
We need more time for that. We need a dedicated show for that.
He might, because he's going to implicate folks.
We're not going to implicate anybody.
Right.
8-ball jackets were for dope boys.
Yes, those. But Frankie had one.
He had an 8-ball jacket.
Remember Frankie had that 8-ball jacket?
Okay.
Matter of
I don't know
fact, he
anything
had-
about an 8-ball
Hold on,
jacket.
he was in the video. Wasn't he in Michael Jackson's video?
An
But
8-ball
8-ball jacket on.
jacket for our archive. Okay,
That
so
would be
listen.
nice.
We've had a lot. We have said a lot. There's plenty more that we could say, but I want to say thank you to Kevin and Craig Abdullah.
Woo! Thank you
Salute.
guys.
Salute. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. I know that it's a hike to come up here, but your stories are really important. You're going to hear this because we're going to put it on the podcast. Lauren's going to ask you a couple questions afterwards to just sort of get a little bit more after this.
Sure.
Thank you all for watching. These brothers were two of the guys that I would look for, friendly faces. When I saw them, I knew things were going to be good. And I know many of you had that very same experience. So I can't thank you enough for being here.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Anytime. You can always come back and hang out.
Right.
Especially with this guy.
Exactly. I wanted to say that
So,
the only reason I always heard Kevin Abdullah's name is talking to Charles Matlock
Charles
and
Matlock,
Mike
big fan
Winston.
of yours.
They would talk about you. We were just having conversations and your name would come up all the time. And so for years, I'm like, who is this Abdullah? Like, I was like, who is this guy?
that
So
guy?
proud to have you on
Billy
the
who?
show.
Kevin
Right?
Thanks, brother.
Hey,
Right,
All
yeah.
right,
so Mike
all right.
Winston's going to spin for another
We're
45
gonna
minutes or
hear a little
so.
bit more music from Mike Winston.
But he
So
could tell
Mike-
us where he is for the next
Yeah,
4
tell us
weeks. Where are you
why-
going?
Why you are getting in position to take us out.
Okay, so I think the next thing we got going, Craig Loftus is having an event
Yes.
a week from Saturday.
Shout out to the party.
Luis Gomez, Craig Loftus, and myself
Louis Gomez.
will be. I think he's calling it the musical inebriation party.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
On 51st and Parade,
And
right off of King.
he says he wants it to be like the old parties used to be.
Okay.
Where everybody's kind of inebriated.
That's right.
And so I want to see how this turns out. I'm
Sure.
curious.
Should be
And
interesting.
so I'm
Yes.
looking forward to working with Craig
Good,
and
good.
Lewis.
Good.
It should be a good time. So if you're not doing anything,
Come on down to the
Saturday,
lodge.
come on out.
There are
and
two
it should be
clubs
great.
that you guys have to go to. Now, there's lots of parties, but we do have two standing clubs that seem to be getting a lot of attention.
The
There are many
Lodge.
parties. The Lodge
The lodge
And the Post.
and the Pulse. Now we've got Renaissance, we've got all kinds of really cool
And
things
shout out to
going
Rhonda
on.
Flowers also.
Rhonda Flowers,
at the
it's her
Renaissance.
night, Wednesday night.
Rhonda
so if you're looking for
Flowers.
something to do, Rhonda, we got to get you on the show.
Yes.
But plenty to do, lots of house music, lots of love to go around. So get out there. It's Martin Luther King weekend, so enjoy your weekend. I'm intending to do so. Happy Founders Day to all the AKAs.
Shout out to the AKAs out there.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Founders Day. And we're gonna let you spin if you're ready for us.
Come on, Michael. No problem.
Mike
I'm
Winster.
not gonna be here, but he's going to be here for another 45 minutes. So I want to say thank you for tuning in to Vintage House. As a reminder, Vintage House is the only on-air radio show and podcast in Chicago that's dedicated to illuminating and preserving the lives, music, and careers of house music legends and contributors. We are powered by the Modern Dance Music Research and Archiving Foundation, the only repository in the United States dedicated solely to the study, preservation, and celebration of house and dance music genres. We want to preserve your memories and your memorabilia. So if you have some of those, please reach out to us. You can reach me at on my Facebook page at Lori Branch, LORIBRANCH, or you can reach out to us on the Vintage House Shows page. I think we have a website, don't we?
We do. VintageHouseShow.com.
VintageHouseShow.com.
Yes.
You can also reach me at laurabranch.com.
You can start playing.
So many ways you can reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanking our guests, Kevin and Craig Abdullah. Really great interview tonight. And our amazing DJ.
And historian as well. All right. Woo! Thanks, guys. Stay tuned. We're staying live here with Mike Winster.
How long you gonna play?
You want to go with that?
I need
All
to
right,
leave.
Mike, you playing?
You got to leave?
Yeah, I got it.
But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. I'll be out. Bye. Love you all. Thank you, Cheryl.
You want to play for the whole 45?
I would like to.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stay. I'll take it. That'd be great.
You got to take him to come back?
Yeah, I'm not coming.
I got to get your Uber.
No. What is the highest number you've seen on the Facebook?
I think we had like 3,000 views after like 4 or 5 days. That might have been Rain Show.
Yeah, you know what I saw? That show that we did with I looked on there with a K. What is the K?
Yeah. No, we should do like at least 6,000.
And I told you,
listen. Enjoy yourself. Tease us with some photos.
I will tease you guys. I know he teases them all the time.
I know it.
I'm not coming back.
Listen, we're about to go to Egypt.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, right.
That's what came up.
Uh-oh, what happened? That's okay.
And they canceled it because of what's going on.
Yeah.
That plane getting shot out the air.
Yeah, not
Egypt
at
is
that
close to, so that we're going to Bali. We're going to Bali now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
No, Ronnie's supposed to be good.
Yeah.
My sister went there. She loved it. I gotta get there. We doing good to go to Mexico.
Come on, come out. Just the party. Where are you partying?
Well, different places. I like the more spinning somewhere. I'll go to the M Lounge. But summertime, I'm at whatever's outside for free.
Gotcha. Okay.
See, but I'm gonna tell you, that's I always think about this. Like, I'm not one of those people that wants to go into like a dungeon and they get you a place, whatever. I'm actually I'm a mature adult now. I want to listen to house music, but I just want to be comfortable and have a space where you can not be around the loud music. I just want a different kind of flow. And I don't know if there is that. I don't know if there's they were patting people down. Sometimes I don't know places where they got pat down. That's not my idea.
It's like with Jess and I just thought about one of the songs, like, our friends were out there, like, you can, like, escape. You know, and then, like,
That's a good word.
regroup, and then go back out there.
Escape is a good word.
Oh, where?
I was just practicing.
Listen, enjoy yourself.
I'm saying,
It's a well-deserved
weekend and leave everything here.
No, I'm talking about that's why I can't go there because here is gonna be here. When you get here, work and everything. So when you go there,
I'm gonna do you. I'm gonna take pictures. I love it.
yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do.
I'm jealous. Have fun though.
I don't know why you not just saying.
I'm working without, I'm not going to the beach, Bahamas. Exactly, yeah, that's not what I do a lot of things.
Now you got everything. Thank you, boy. Yeah.
Well, no, it's right. The thing is that you plan for it, you just like that. The first time I went to Egypt, I stayed down ever. He says I'm going somewhere. It was just like, it came to a mindset. It's an out-of-body kind of thing because it's a different country. The breeze is different. And I think that's what you need to keep. Are you sticking around? Mike, we'll be right back. Be right back. Hey.
Mike. mix of thought and act those souls and play. I'm not civilized, I see young people change. Sitting down while the words will bang. Sitting down while they're smoking cocaine.